Hi, everyone. Hello, thanks for joining. Could you all just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're able to hear me okay? Okay, yay, I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. Thank you so much. We're gonna get started in about 1 minute. We've got tons of RSVPs today, so I just wanna wait 1 more minute before we get started to make sure folks have enough time to dial in. Until then, how's everyone doing? If you haven't already, go ahead and drop your shop name in the chat so we can just take a look at your shops while we wait for more folks to jump in. I see my panel is starting to join as well. Hey, everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for your patience. If you don't know me, my name is Isabella, and I'm a part of EtSEO's community team. I'm going to be moderating today's EtSEO panel. This is actually our last EtSEO event of the year, which kind of makes me sad, but don't worry, we'll be back next year to do more of these. Let us know if these have been helpful for you. I'd be curious to know too, is this your first EtSEO event that you've attended this year, or have you been to our other two that we've already hosted? Very curious. Okay, quite a combo. I've been to the other two. This is my first one. Well, if this is your first, welcome. And if you've joined all three now, it's been so great to have you. Thank you so much. If you didn't catch those first two EtSEO events, the replays are available on the Etsy Success YouTube channel, so feel free to check those out. And if you've participated in EtSEO before, then you're pretty familiar with how we do this, but just a quick recap for those who are new. We typically bring in Etsy staff who are experts when it comes to things like SEO to provide live listing critiques for sellers who have submitted their listings in advance over in our community forums. So thank you to everyone who submitted their listing. We really appreciate you taking the time to submit. Today, we have 5 listings that were randomly selected from there that span across categories. So really hoping that you all get some great inspiration today. All right. As I mentioned before, my name is Isabella. I work on Etsy's community team, and I am specifically focused on seller education, taking all the latest and greatest Etsy news and making sure that you have it at your disposal, and work on programming that helps you get your shop set up for success. Yi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Yi. I'm a director of product management here at Etsy. I've spent the last few years working on our search team, where we were making it easier for shoppers to find all the amazing things that you all create. And more recently, I'll be focusing on the Etsy iOS app to make it a smooth, engaging experience. So I'm really excited to be here again with the seller community.
Thanks, Yi. Mary?
Hello, hello. I'm Mary. I lead Etsy's merchandising team. Super happy to be here again, too. My team focuses on understanding what buyers are searching for and connecting those trends with the incredible items you all create. So your work reaches the right audiences at the right time and place. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for coming back for a third EtSEO.
These are my
favorites. And Katie.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Katie and I work on the community team with Isabella. And in my role, I'm focused on seller education. So that includes resources like our seller handbook and the Etsy Success YouTube channel. This is my first EtSEO event officially, so I'm really excited to be here with you guys.
Yay, we're so glad you're here, Katie. Thank you. All right, so now that you know our wonderful panel here, let's talk a little bit more about what SEO is. I promise we're going to just breeze through this really quickly. I know a lot of you know this already, but just want to give a little more context before we jump into our listing critiques. All right, so really quickly, what is search engine optimization or SEO? This is all about helping search engines and shoppers find your products. So SEO matters because online shoppers depend on search to find what they want. So when someone conducts a search online, search engines are scanning pages for content that match what the person is looking for and then show the most relevant results. So by optimizing your Etsy shop and your Etsy listings, you can make it easier for your items to appear in those relevant results, which can in turn help you reach more customers and potentially make more sales. So Etsy has its own search engine, which uses a query matching ranking and then this content specific ranking to personalize results for each buyer. So the more relevant and high quality your listings are, the better your chances of connecting with your most likely customers. So let's dig into the Etsy search specifics a little more. First, I've just got to call this out. I always do. Etsy search is always changing. And so what we're going to talk about today, these are some of the current best practices that Etsy recommends. But we do encourage you to keep an eye on our resources where we regularly update content just to keep sellers informed on the most up-to-date information. You can also get that by attending events like this. All right, so there's two phases of how Etsy's search system works once a search is entered into the website. So the first is query matching, and the second is ranking. When a customer enters a search query on Etsy, our search system takes a holistic view of your listing, including titles, tags, attributes, descriptions, that first listing photo, your reviews, and so much more to help connect your items with the right buyers. In the first phase, query matching, Etsy search is gathering all of the listings that are relevant to that search query. And then in the second phase, Etsy search starts to rank all of those matching listings with the goal of showing listings that the customer is most likely to purchase higher up in the results. So if you're looking to increase your visibility in searches, it's important to optimize for both phases. So what does optimization look like? Well, speaking still to query matching, the keywords across your tags, your titles, your listing descriptions, categories, subcategories, attributes, these are all essential when it comes to query matching, that first phase within the search system. So using multi-word phrases, and a variety to populate all of your available tags, adding relevant attribute options, categorizing your items as specifically as you can all help increase the chance that your listings will match with a customer search query. And then the next phase of Etsy's search is ranking. So once we've gathered all of the listings that match a buyer's query, we use the information we have about each listing and shop to rank the listings so that people browsing Etsy see the items that they're most likely to purchase earlier in results. So connecting shoppers with relevant quality listings more often really helps build trust so that they come back and shop from shops like yours again and again. And that's why Etsy search also takes into account factors like your shop's customer service and the quality of the listing. And when it comes to listing quality, let me just call out some key factors here. High quality images, having shop policies in place, covering things like returns and exchanges. This information is critical for buyers when they're deciding whether or not to make a purchase. And so when we say listing quality, this is a part of that. Another factor to call out in the ranking stage is listing engagement rate, or how well a listing converts. So someone discovered it in search, then what? Did they click on it? Did they add it to their cart? Did they favorite it? Did they purchase it? During our critiques today, we'll talk through a few different strategies, give some tips that might help improve a listing's conversion rate. Think clicks, favorites, add to cart, purchases. Again, all of that happens after the listing has been discovered in search. That's what we mean when we say conversion rate. And then just a final note about Etsy search results. When you search on Etsy, remember that what you see isn't always what another buyer conducting a search might be seeing. And that's because Etsy will customize search results based on who's conducting that search sometimes. So that's context-specific ranking technology. It learns what buyers are interested in over time, shows them items they're most likely to purchase. So that's why it's really effective to prioritize optimizing your shop and listings for the factors that you can directly influence, things like query matching, making sure you have the strongest, most relevant keywords attached to your listing, and then ranking. So thinking about how you can influence conversion rate. I know that was a lot of information. We're going quick because we've been over this before, and also we want to save time for our critiques. Really quick though, I'll do a quick plug for the Etsy search visibility page. This is available to sellers in their shop manager. And this page provides personalized search insights based on your shop, your listings, customer service. There's other actions too that it calls out here that you can take that could potentially improve your search visibility. I think this page is especially helpful when you're working to optimize your listings. It's something you can sort of like check in and on over time just to gauge progress and see, how you're ranking. All right, so in this next section, we're going to cover at a very high level some SEO best practices that can help create more opportunities to match your items with shoppers' searches and improve your placement in those results over time. So Katie, I would love if you could walk us through some of the latest guidance.
Sure. Thank you, Isabella. So one important area that we're focusing on today is listing titles. Your title is an important part of your listing for both search visibility and buyer conversion. Buyers tell us that clear, easy to scan titles really help them feel more confident when they're browsing and ultimately choosing what they're going to buy. So it's essential to find a balance between including the most important traits about your item while keeping your titles easy to read and understandable at a glance. Focus on clarity and relevance in your listing titles while moving other key details to your listing tags, your descriptions, and your attributes.
Yes, thank you, Katie. And as many of you may already be aware, we did also recently release an optional AI-powered tool that suggests updated listing titles using your current listing title, your first listing photo, and descriptions that are written in English. So this tool is available to you if you'd like to quickly update one or many listings at the same time when it comes to titles. You can also accept suggestions there, customize them a bit to fit more with your style, and just get like real-time feedback to guide your edits there. You can also skip this tool altogether and write your own title from scratch. It's completely up to you, but just wanted to call out that that did recently come out with some of the latest search guidance.
Yeah, that's a really good call, Isabella. And if you have listings that are going to benefit from that updated guidance, you'll find that tool available in your search visibility dashboard, which is accessible on Etsy.com or in the Etsy seller app.
Great.
Here we have a few examples of some titles that we've optimized for clarity and relevance. And the key details that were previously in the old title were moved instead to listing tags, descriptions, and attributes. We found that adjustments like these can help you to really show up to interested buyers while also helping them feel more confident about making a purchase. And then zooming out a little bit, we've compiled an SEO optimization checklist, because who doesn't love some SEO best practices, right? These are great to keep in mind when you're reviewing your shop and your listings. And a lot of these we're going to touch on in today's critique, so they might sound familiar when we touch on them. Remember that since Etsy's search system takes a holistic view across the elements of your listing and your shop, there are always ways that you can experiment and refine in order to improve your SEO over time. I think that's like my number one SEO tip, is just to continue to experiment, because it's really the best way to learn. So you can visit etsy.me/SEO checklist for additional guidance on the seller handbook after today's event, and you'll have that full checklist there as a reference as well.
Thanks, Katie. We love a checklist. Love a checklist here at Etsy. All right, it's time to get into our critiques. So here is our first listing. I feel like the photo, just this first listing photo, is just so gorgeous and really just like grabs your attention. This is a plant-dyed silk pillowcase. I think they're starting off really, really strong. We're starting off really strong here. You can instantly tell just from a quick glance here that these pillowcases are high quality. They're small batch goods. There's an artisanal feel. This is something that Etsy buyers love. I'm just going to do a quick scan to the next slide so you can see some of the other photos here. So beautiful. Some of the keywords, which we'll get into in a minute. But yes,
Oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. Yeah, no, I totally agree. The photos are really beautiful. And I think like the soft natural light works so well, especially with the materials that they use. These are just gorgeous. With that in mind, actually, I would love to see another image of these styled maybe on an actual pillow, like staged in a bedroom scene to sort of bring it to life. We found that those lifestyle shots are really helpful for people who are trying to imagine like what their lives would be like if they actually owned your product.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I also love how you can even see the sheen on these coming through in the images. Really great job here. Katie, just adding on to visualization, they list sizes in the description, which is great. I'd recommend adding a visual comparison for the different pillow sizes too. Seeing them side by side can help buyers make confident decisions quickly with just a visual image of the size too.
Yeah, those are great photo tips. I 100% agree that showing off the size, as well as like the scale it's styled in a room, would take this to the next level. This last photo here, I'm looking at my monitor here. This last photo here with the white background, I love seeing it on, but I'm still not getting like the scale of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about gifting here. Silk pillowcases are such like a luxe self-care kind of item. I'd love to see how they're packaged if we're talking about styling, especially for holiday shoppers. A styled gift wrap image, even a short note about how it's presented could make a difference.
Definitely. Lots of good ideas if you wanted to add additional photos here. They have great photos in place, but you can now add up to 20 photos to a listing. In case you missed it, that was the breaking news a few weeks ago. I'm curious, has anyone here dialed into the event? Has anyone added up to 20 photos yet on their listing? Somebody said, yes, 20 photos. Okay.
That is so impressive.
Right?
Yeah, 20 photos is a lot. But it is true that like with all of these additional photo spots that are available, you really have more opportunities to showcase the details, the process, the packaging, and really entice buyers. And I know it's definitely getting my wheels turning, thinking maybe we should do some photography workshops in the new year. What do
Yeah.
you think, Isabella?
Yes, we're on the same wavelength. We definitely should. Let us know in the chat if photography related workshops would be helpful for you for your shop. But going back to this listing, I also noticed that the shop sells scrunchies and eye masks, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, Mary, like this is such a luxe vibe going on. And so I wonder if like those scrunchies, those eye masks, there's some sort of like complimentary situation here. Maybe there could even be like a sleep set bundle that would make for like a great gift. Okay, on to keywords. Katie, want to jump in on keywords?
Sure. So I think from a keywords perspective here, I would explore a few like long tail phrases, maybe something like natural silk pillowcase for hair or eco-friendly gift for her. That kind of phrasing could align with what buyers are searching for this season and help to like add and round out what you already have in the listing. Especially like Mary was mentioning, as folks are getting into holiday mode, they might be looking for more luxe versions of products.
Did I just go dark a little bit? I'm a little dark, right?
Uh-oh, did the lights time out on you?
Yeah, the lights timed out on me. I wish I could say that this was like a spooky Halloween effect, but I'm in a
You can.
room. I'm in a conference room at the office, and the lights are doing their thing. But I like that suggestion, Katie. I will say, like, those are pretty long terms that you were just suggesting. The natural silk pillowcase for hair, eco-friendly gift for her. Like, those are super long tail. So, like, where are you thinking for that?
Okay, fair. I would say descriptions for sure. And don't forget that those are crawled by Etsy search as well as Google and other offsite search engines. So like don't sleep on your listing descriptions. And then also your listing tags. If you can break those phrases I was mentioning up as examples into 20 characters or less, they don't all need to fit in a single tag. For the title, I think it's really better to keep it concise and to focus on clarity, like we were talking about in our best practices earlier.
And also, I think just thinking about the description itself, like Katie was saying, this could be a great spot to consider adding a bit more detail, especially around the making process and care, which can really help build buyer trust that they're getting something that is high quality and like really differentiated from other things that are on the marketplace. So right now, for example, you mentioned that the pieces are plant dyed, which is amazing. And I think there's a way that you can expand on that story a little more. So for example, you could describe how the dyes are created or what makes your process low impact or sustainable. And then it could also be helpful to include a short note on care instructions, like how do you preserve these beautiful botanical colors, or how the silk is sourced and treated. So I think what we see is that small details like that reinforce both quality and value, and then help you close the deal with the buyer through the information that you're providing. And then last thought is, because this is a higher priced item, you could highlight like what really makes silk special compared to other materials they might be considering, like cotton or synthetics. So framing it that way helps buyers understand, why this is a premium material and why your pieces are priced accordingly.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think always be calling out the things that make your items special, because Etsy buyers care. And those additional details can also help with like building trust. The way you talked about highlighting the care that goes into it, all of those details, like in turn, could influence a listing's conversion rate, right? Like the more trust you're able to establish with buyers, the more likely they are to make a purchase. Mary, any other thoughts to add on this? Maybe the title, or like what details do you feel like are really important to call out here?
Yeah, it's a great point on material and, just like production method and how it stands out. Maybe something like silk pillowcase, plant dyed, botanical print bedding.
Yeah, or even like eco luxury bedding, maybe.
Love that. Yep.
Okay, sold, done, added to cart. All right, let's move on to our next listing. This one's so cute. I'll just do a quick scan so you can all see what we've got going on here. Good photos, nice video. We've got some keywords that we'll talk through in a moment. I think this one is, yes, okay, you see the badge in the top left corner there. This one is already an Etsy pick, which means off to a really strong start. The photos, the quality, you can really like tell the quality from some of the close-up shots, the listing video. It all works really beautifully together. So Mary, how should we start off here?
Yay. I love that this is an Etsy pick. My team is actually the crew behind the scenes doing the picking. It's a really great listing, so I'm not surprised at all. The imagery is really fantastic here, bright, consistent, which we know is a key factor in search visibility. The detail shots show the craftsmanship perfectly here. Again, I'd love to see one more image that shows how it's packaged.
Mhm.
Buyers are already sharing the unboxing shots for these in their reviews. So
Mhm.
pulling that into the listing can dial up social proof that does wonders for conversion.
Mary loves a packaging shot.
Yes. I think it's because I'm just in full holiday curation mode. And anytime we can show buyers items beautifully gift wrapped or the care that goes into the packaging while also giving our curated pages a little holiday flair, that's a win. And our yes, consider adding one style packaging photo, maybe the hoop tied with twine, a little tag, a handwritten thank you note, just help shoppers visualize that unboxing experience, adds to the perceived value.
That's some good insider info.
I also love that this shop offers both single and multiple pet portraits. Very smart. Around the holidays. Ornaments are one of our top SKUs on Etsy. So I think this shop could easily branch out into ornaments too by adding a small ribbon. I think there's like a 4-inch hoop offering here. So you could expand your line there for the holidays by, turning these into some fun ornaments.
My gosh, that's such a good idea, Mary. Turn it into an ornament. I want one for all 3 of my dogs. These are so cute.
You need one for Rue.
Yeah, Rue would look stunning in this format.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think on the note of photos, I would also take a look at that first listing image and really just think about how it's going to appear in search results. Think about what it's going to look like if it's cropped into a small thumbnail. Maybe someone's looking on their mobile phone, maybe they're looking at it on desktop. And if the pet's face or key details are getting cut off, you might try adjusting the composition slightly with like a tighter centered crop that helps it stand out and really drives clicks.
And so since we're talking about how buyers engage with listings, I think adding a short video could go a long way here. So even a 10-second clip that shows the stitching process or the finished piece being framed would help convey both craftsmanship and authenticity, which we know buyers are like, they're looking for signs that, this is something that's really special. And so we know Etsy shoppers tend to engage when they can see how something is made, which builds a ton of trust. I would also suggest adding a size comparison image. So maybe a photo showing the different size hoops side by side or in someone's hands. So I think right now it's a critical thing that's driving the pricing, but it is hard to visualize scale. And that's something buyers want to be sure of before they order.
Yes, that's so important, especially for personalized art. The more you help buyers understand what to expect from size to framing, the smoother the purchase experience will be. And just like speaking of the framing here, I did notice in some of the review photos, there's a round, really beautiful wooden frame option in addition to the hoop, which is such a great idea. So they might consider offering it as an optional upgrade in the listing variations for this listing too.
That's a great way to increase your average order value too. Good tip. Yes, I will also just quickly say that the seller is off to a really strong start. Like I feel like a lot of the advice we're giving is, it's if you want to take it to the next level, but I feel like they are already in a really good place. Like the listing video that they currently have does show like texture really nicely. They do have this one image that sort of has a collage of the sizes, but I agree with you, Yi. I feel like a process video could bring it to life even more. And then maybe some of these videos that are meant to show, photos that are meant to show like scale dimension a little bit more, they could be broken out. Of course, now that we have up to 20 photos that can be added to a listing, just so it's like even more clear, if that makes sense. But I think overall, like the seller's doing a really nice job. I want to shift to keywords. Yi or anybody here, any tips around the keywords?
Sure. So I think, like Isabella said, this listing is in a great place. I think it would convert really well. So I would just think of if there is room to make your listing reach more users through a variety of queries. So this is about expanding long tail keyword coverage in the tags. So I think that maybe some phrases like hand-stitched pet art, I think you've already got some variation of that, but a little creativity to think of what is an audience that you could reach that might not be searching for the exact terms that you have here. So I think the pet memorial theme is a really nice one. So like emotional, specific, and highly searchable. Since we're heading into the holiday season, this is also a good time to think about seasonal tags. So like pet ornament or holiday pet gift. This is going to help you surface in searches that are going to be trending and peaking over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I would add one last little note. The process for submitting the pet photos could be clearer here. So if you can, maybe just include a short blurb in your description to walk buyers through those steps too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great call out, Mary. Like, of course, it can be a point of friction for buyers when ordering directions aren't super clear. So maybe something like step 1, place your order. Step 2, send your pet's photo via Etsy messages. Step 3, approve your preview before shipping. Just keep it really simple, but give them the small details to reduce the back and forth and really make the experience feel more professional and smooth.
These are really great, like very detailed, comprehensive tips. Again, I think the shop has an incredibly strong foundation, but yeah, just a little tweaks here and there, I feel like really could, as you said, Katie, make it feel a little more professional, a little bit smoother of a flow. Okay, time for our next listing. We have this very beautiful belt. It's quite the statement piece. You can tell right away that the seller has a great eye for styling as well as craftsmanship. Mary, you want to get us started with this one?
Sure. I really love this listing too. The material and color come through beautifully. Those muted pink tones are so elegant. The seller's done a really great job using angled shots to show how it wraps and ties all the way from the front to the back. The only thing I'm missing is what I would call like a hero lifestyle image. So something that shows the full look on a model, maybe styled over a dress or robe, similar to how they photograph their kimono jackets and bridesmaids robes on multiple models. Those other listings in the shop have such great movement and energy too. So just bringing that same approach here could instantly elevate this one, make it feel a little bit more wearable. But I agree, this is a great, great listing, great photo.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mary. The craftsmanship here feels like excellent, and I think it comes through in all of the photos. The lifestyle image also helps communicate fit and style, which is really important since this is a one-size-fits-all belt. And then from a buyer's perspective, I would also love to see a simple how to wear visual, like even a quick, video clip showing how to tie it. So all of these small details like help reduce hesitation at the point of conversion and make an item feel a lot more approachable for shoppers who may not be, as familiar with a specific style of belt.
That's a really good call. I think sometimes people love the idea of a statement accessory, but might hesitate to make that purchase just because they're not really sure how to wear it. And so showing that process could bridge that gap. The seller does have a really nice listing video in place already. It highlights that beautiful rust color. That's one of the options that they offer. It also shows off the material a little bit more. But if we're critiquing here, suggested areas for improving conversion, for example, I do think a video swap could be helpful. What you were saying, Yi, is like showing somebody actually like putting on the belt and how they tie it, how they style it, add it to an outfit. I feel like that could potentially be more effective than the current listing video.
Yeah, exactly. And while we're talking about how to really give buyers clarity, there are a few details that could be expanded on in the listing description. So the care instructions mention a towel, which I'm assuming was maybe copied from another item, as well as possible shrinkage, which could give somebody pause because you don't know how much something is going to shrink. So more information here, like for example, hand wash cold, air dry flat, can reassure buyers that it is easy to care for and keep in its like new state. And also kind of coming back to material quality and playing that up. If possible, you can add a few lines about how the fabric is sourced or dyed. And if it is a more kind of like artisan made linen, that is something that Etsy shoppers love to know and are willing to pay extra for, because it is a great overall value.
I feel like you're really into the storytelling today, Yi, and I love it. I feel like it does help position your brand as something that's intentional and quality driven.
Yes, and I think that all of these items are really they're really thoughtfully produced, like really great items. So I think a lot of what we're saying today is just with the intent of how do we help you communicate that as convincingly as possible. And then, so from a keyword perspective, I also think this listing is really solid. Again, think of where there's room to expand a bit with longer tail keywords. So I think that one thing that you might consider is how do you capture both a fashion and niche audiences, so people looking for handmade accessories or even costume styling.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think specific to the title, the seller is really in line with our current guidance, which is great. So A+ there. It's concise and it tells you exactly what the item is. Just with that being said, it's labeled as pink, and I'm seeing within the listing you have some color variations, which is actually just a really great selling point. And I wonder if maybe that's worth updating to reflect in your title.
Yes, I think that could definitely be worth thinking through. And then I have another small note. I was curious about the title wording to include Victorian corset style paired with obi, which is traditionally references Japanese design. So it's not wrong at all, but I think if you're going to blend styles, you might explain that in the description, maybe something like inspired by both Victorian corsetry and Japanese obi silhouettes. And so that could help shoppers understand kind of the creative influence, and also can help reduce confusion in search if this ends up showing up for something where it doesn't feel totally relevant.
I love that. That's a really thoughtful note. And I imagine that there's probably some really lovely story about the design inspiration there, which is what Etsy shoppers respond to. So definitely include that. And zooming out a little bit to the shop as a whole, I think adding a shop banner and maybe some more photos or even a short video to the About section could help with that storytelling. So we know that shoppers really connect when they see who's behind the product and they get to peek into your creative process. And I would say that connection can absolutely influence conversion rates.
Yes, good call out, Katie. I know we're talking listing critiques, but I too find myself venturing over to look at the shop as a whole. And again, even if there's not a direct correlation, we know that the more you can flesh out your shop, the more credible it appears. And the more credible it appears, the more trustworthy your shop may seem with buyers. And all of that, again, can influence your conversion rate. So great call out. I think this listing has a ton of strengths: beautiful craftsmanship, cohesive photography, a really strong, beautiful aesthetic. It's really just, a couple little tweaks here and there. And I feel like that's the theme of today, right? All of these listings are are really set up for success already. So small tweaks here and there, a hero image like the one Mary mentioned, a video that's maybe that like tying tutorial vibe, sharing a bit more around the story of the item, that could help the listing stand out more in search and also help it convert. All right, on to our next listing. I'm very excited about this one. I feel like my bird gals are on the call with me right now, so very excited about this one. This is the Shape of My Heart hummingbird perch made from hammered copper. And what a beautiful and unique piece this is. Mary, I see you smiling so big right now. Do you want to start us off?
I'd love to. I had never seen anything quite like this, and I am one of those bird girls. I bought more than a few hummingbird feeders on Etsy before, but I didn't know that there were perches or that they perch like this. It totally makes sense though. They take turns swooping down from the trees to the feeders. So this is such a clever design. Definitely going to add to cart. These images are really stunning too. They capture exactly what buyers need to see, which is the product in action. So showing real hummingbirds actually using the perch is a fantastic strategy.
The video is amazing. Like,
yeah,
they were able to capture that. Like,
I know. I don't know how you got this, but it's such a great example of when there's a specific use you want to highlight. Photos like these do all of the storytelling for you. You have it right here. Something else that stands out to me, the shop carries several different perch shapes. So this could be a great opportunity to cross promote or show variation. They might consider a photo that displays 2 or 3 of the different shape designs together, a variation drop down within this listing. And what that does is it can help first-time visitors immediately understand there's more to explore in this shop, especially if they've landed directly on the listing coming from search or Google outside of Etsy.
Yes, that's a really great point. I think cross-promotion and the clear visual variety can help with both discovery and conversion. And while the visuals are like really what make this listing shine and kind of speaks for itself, I noticed that the description is very brief. I think there's just 1 sentence. And so this would be a great place to, be more descriptive. This does help with SEO on Etsy because like we've said before, search pulls from your description to understand, everything that your listing might be relevant for. So just for example, I think you could share some more details about maybe how the perch is made. This clearly looks hand hammered and handcrafted. So providing more kind of like process details will help buyers appreciate that, the craftsmanship and the value. And then if the perch is made out of pure copper, you might also include a note about what that means for the buyer, like once they receive it. So for instance, that pure copper naturally oxidizes, it develops a patina over time. And then so that could help reduce buyer questions after purchase. And the last thing is, I think since scale can sometimes be tricky to judge in outdoor product photos, always like providing something that helps kind of put it in context could make it even easier for buyers to really visualize the size.
Good point about scale. I know on the call here, we're all bird people. So, we know that the hummingbirds are tiny little creatures. And so maybe we're able to more accurately assess the scale. But I'm thinking about someone who maybe is less familiar with all of our bird friends and is purchasing this as a gift for their bird friend. And so they may not be able to detect scale from here quite as much. So good call out on that.
And then from a keyword perspective, I think this shop could benefit from including a few more long tail keywords in the tags. I think folks in the comments have called out maybe like repetition of like single word tags. And so yeah, could be definitely a place to boost variety and reach a wider audience.
You can have up to 13 tags on a listing, and it's always better to go with phrases versus single words. The more words you have applied to a listing, the wider the array of searches that it can appear in, but also it's just more in line with how people search. So you're more likely to match with a shopper's query if you're using keywords that are very similar to what they're typing into search. And so you always want to aim to go with phrases, again, versus single words. And there's quite a bit of room for tags here still. So maybe we can talk about like some specific tag words that this seller could consider adding.
Right. So I think the kind of like hummingbirds and garden is covered pretty well. But I think you could think of tags that get like more towards a gifting audience, like bird lovers, gifts, outdoor art. So I think one way that you could easily get ideas is like, it's not always like obvious what somebody else might call this, or kind of like how they might think of it. So that's like, just like talking to family and friends is another great way to kind of round out your set of keywords.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Also, speaking of gifts, several of the reviews for this mention how much buyers love giving these as presents. So I think you all know what I'm going to say. I would think about showing a packaging photo or gift wrap option. Even something simple for this, like brown paper and twine, could help the listing feel more giftable. I know we're talking about the holidays, but after the holidays, this is one of those items that transitions so nicely into spring gifting. Hummingbird products tend to do really, really well for Mother's Day. So updating your description or tags to reflect that seasonal relevance could help keep the momentum going for this year round.
I love that seasonal angle. I'm always like stumped as to what to get my mom for Mother's Day. And now I'm like, I need to write this down before I forget. It's perfect. And just one other quick thing I would add, more on the SEO front. Right now, the title starts with the phrase shape of my heart, which is really charming. But since titles also drive discoverability, I think it might be worth experimenting with an updated version that helps to convey more immediately to buyers exactly what this item is, and just sort of test that out and see what learnings you have there with engagement.
It's a really good call out. I love shape of my heart too. But something like hammered copper, hummingbird perch, comma, heart-shaped garden art, something concise like that that's very specific to what the item is, maybe a little more effective. You're keeping the sentiment a little bit there, but you're really utilizing more searchable key terms.
Yes, that's a great call. And also, if you're stuck or you're feeling unsure about how to tweak your titles, this is my plug for the new AI-powered listing title tool, just as a nice way to get some quick inspiration for some of those search-friendly optimizations.
Definitely. And when that optional tool became available, Etsy also refreshed some of the listing guidance within our seller handbook just to help sellers find that right balance. I think even just taking a look at that could be helpful for this seller. Ultimately, you want your titles to be descriptive but concise. Titles really are like their own art form on Etsy. So think clear, keyword rich, but still natural, readable. Again, it's a balance. So overall, I think this listing has a lot going for it. Standout photos, clear use case imagery. I don't know how you got that hummingbird to come and like sit at the perch right at the exact time you needed it to, but huge kudos to you. I used to, in my Etsy shop, do a lot of photos with my dogs, and just getting them to sit and pose for a photo you had to have so many treats on hand. And so I give you huge props for working with those hummingbirds there. But going back to this listing, just adding a little bit more detail into the description, making sure your title's optimized, expanding on keywords within your tags, I think will help this seller reach even more bird lovers and garden decorators. All right, we are coming up on time. We're going to quickly move to our final listing for today. Last but definitely not least, we have this beautiful 20-pack of stickers. What a fun and nostalgic vibe. I can see these appealing to scrapbookers, journal lovers, stationery collectors. Like, this is giving like that aesthetic, and it's very strong.
These are adorable. This is a great example of a shop that really leads with strong packaging. The product presentation, it's cohesive, immediately gives off that aesthetic stationery feel that's trending right now. If I'm thinking about the holidays, these would also make such a fun stocking stuffer or really like small gift.
Good keyword or framing to potentially work into the description. Good call.
Agree. I like the photos a lot here. The seller's done such a nice job styling the photos for the scrapbooking theme. And I'd love to see one panned out process style shot, an opportunity here, maybe to get some hands in the frame, showing how someone might actually use the stickers on a journal page. It could help give buyers a sense of scale, bring the product to life.
Yeah, I think that could also, yes, for images, but I think that could also make a great listing video too. What do you think, Yi?
Yeah, I totally agree. And then I think since this listing currently only uses 4 images, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of like add more images and really show off the list, show off these stickers maybe in use. So remember that you can have up to 20 images on a listing. So a shot comparing sticker sizes, or like showing them next to a pencil and a notebook, or even kind of like showing the like actual border list versus border sticker options side by side. I think the image in here is a mock, just so it's like more kind of confidence building information through the images.
Yeah, great tip. I don't think the scale or dimensions rather are super clear. I don't want to suggest like putting this on a laptop or a water bottle, even though those are like, I feel like the go-to like sticker props, because I know that probably doesn't fit with the seller's aesthetic here, but perhaps there's another object that would be helpful to signal and still aligned with sort of like the look and feel that you're going with here, just to help establish those dimensions and the understanding of size.
I think a cute journal, and again, having a hand in the shot would look nice and do the trick here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the same thought. A journal would look so cute with one of these stickers on it. And if you want to like level up even more, maybe a short listing video, you're peeling the sticker, you're putting the sticker on the journal, so buyers can get a sense of the texture and the scale and the finish. So for something like this, you want to know as a buyer, is it glossy, is it matte? That makes a big difference. Trying to imagine what it would be like in real life.
Yeah, videos can really increase engagement, especially for tactile items like these.
Yeah, great idea. Okay, we're a little short on time, so I'm going to move over to keywords.
So keywords, I think I immediately noticed that DDP is in the listing title. And while that's like a really helpful, I think, fulfillment detail, most shoppers won't immediately recognize that term, and it could cause confusion in search. So I would, just like move that to the description, which would be kind of like where buyers are looking to kind of like figure out exactly how much this is going to cost me. Adding it in like a parenthetical note would be great for clarity and transparency. And then just another thought on keywords is that, by removing some terms from the title, you could add more descriptive information. How would you describe this listing to an actual buyer into the title? And then in terms of the tags, I think like not being an expert in this category, I think that you could also then still, again, think of, are there ways to target gifting use cases? Are there ways to, for example, like where do you want your listing to show up, where it would be a great fit that you're not currently targeting with like these like very like, you know, most of your tags are around stickers.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I super agree with you on the DDP. It's at the very front of the listing title, which great info, maybe not at the front of your listing title. That's like prime real estate. On another note, I was thinking that one way the seller might explore sort of like sweetening the deal or expanding in categories is offering like bundled sets.
Yeah, so I think we know that buyers who purchase stickers, we see them often, you know, grabbing several at once. So I think one way that you could kind of increase your order size is to offer bundles, and that's where I think a discount is great for, you know, kind of like closing the sale with buyers.
Mm-hmm. I see some questions in the chat too. Folks are asking what DDP is. So I was just going to jump in really quick to clarify. This is delivered duties paid for international buyers. And so I think you could note this. My lights keep going out. I'm sorry, y'all. I just have to do this. So going back to that, I think you could include this information again in the description to add some clarity, transparency, but move it out of the title. Okay. Mary, anything to add?
Yeah, I have a thought on inventory. If the seller ever wanted to expand their line, I could see these designs working really well as vinyl decals. These are paper. We see a lot of buyer demand for more durable sticker options. So ones people can use to decorate their home, bikes, you know, cars. So it could be an interesting direction for the future, just putting it out there.
All right. Great ideas here. I think this listing is off to a really strong start. They do a great job highlighting what's included in the pack. The packaging is there, very cohesive styling, very strong brand, very great aesthetic. Just a couple tweaks, optimizing that title, adding more images. I think that's probably like my biggest thing is like needs more photos, needs to show off scale. And then clarifying things in the description could really help these listings reach even more buyers, even more buyers. Okay. We are pretty much at time. I feel like that went by really fast. I don't know if you all, but as always, we try to take a couple of questions at the end here while we've got this panel of experts here. So if you have a question for our panel related to search engine optimization, feel free to drop it in our Q&A. We're probably only going to have time to take one or two here, so I'll go really, really quickly. Sorry for going a bit over during our critiques. All right, first question here. Will you automatically rank higher in search if you use Etsy's new AI title tool? I figured we would get a question about this new tool since it is relatively new. The question says, will you automatically rank higher? So I want to clarify, like, not necessarily. There isn't really a box here that's checked. Are you using the tool? Yes or no. Instead, it's possible that using the tool to update your listings will help it get set up for success. Ultimately, if you use the tool and it does improve your listing title in terms of SEO, then you could see an improvement in your search ranking for relevant searches. But do keep in mind that there are a variety of factors that influence search ranking. All right, next question. Oh, the questions are coming in so fast. Okay, let's take one or two more. Hi there, could you clarify how you become an Etsy pick? Mary, I feel like this would be a great question for you to take. Could you give just like some overarching guidance that might be helpful to sellers who are hoping to catch the eye of our merchandisers?
Yes, I love this question. Thank you for asking. And I think we touched on a lot of those factors today. Um, We're looking for items from shops that have shown really a combination of quality, reliability, style. So, first of all, shops that are providing really great customer service, from communication with buyers to shipping on time, really great reviews. And then on top of that, we're looking for items with high quality photos. Again, like many of the things we talked about here, the way that you're styling your photos, different variations, seasonal ideas, those types of things.
That's great. Thank you, Mary. I actually think this next question is probably for you too. When do holiday shopping searches really start to pick up?
I love this question. So the holiday searches are picking up right now. We are seeing week over week increases for Christmas gifts, holiday gifts, personalized gifts. So really in October, mid to late October is when they ramp up. And now that we're going to be passing over peak Halloween and into early November, we consider that our peak holiday season all the way through to the end of December. So we are there.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, let's try to take one more. Will we be required to use the new title tool? So the tool is completely optional, and there are no current plans to make it mandatory. Let's try to take one more. That was a short one. Okay, what if I use the AI title tool and it removes words that are still important to my listing? So ultimately, this tool is completely optional. If you use it and you feel like it is removing keywords that are still important to your listing in terms of SEO, it's your call. So you can always edit your title. If you feel strongly about including certain words, you want to add them back in, that's totally fine. This is an AI-powered tool, and at the end of the day, you know your business best. So totally up to you if you want to move forward with those suggestions or go back in and edit them. Alternatively, you can always take phrases that maybe aren't, in your top 2 or your top 3 and relocate them to your listing descriptions, your listing tags, if you feel like it's important to have them still associated with your listing, but maybe not in the title. You have to be a little bit choosy with the words in your title. So yeah, there are other areas that you can relocate those keywords to if they're not already there. All right, that is going to be our final question. Just really quick before we move on, just want to flag some great resources for you if you want to continue learning about optimizing your listings for Etsy search. These are available in our seller handbook. This one is a little bit newer. It's the anatomy of a well-crafted Etsy listing. And then, of course, Etsy's ultimate guide to search. This is an article that we're always updating. And yeah, we really encourage, if you've never read it, please read it. It's a bit foundational. And if you haven't looked at it in a while, feel free to check back in on it. Oh, and surprise, we're going to be giving out one more listing critique. Our team is going to randomly select someone who was in attendance today and drop it here in the chat. So drum roll, please. Nitty Gritty, you are the winner of our additional listing critique. So our team will follow up directly. We will send you a message on Etsy to get your details, ask you which listing you would like critiqued, and then we'll follow up from there. So yay, love a little surprise at the end. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. It was an absolute pleasure getting to connect with you all, not just today, but multiple times this year during our EtSEO events. I super appreciate you all being here and participating in the conversation, submitting your listings. And huge shout out to my panel here, Mary, Yi, Katie. Thank you all so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll see you all next year for more EtSEO. Thank you so much.